I feel like I am being genuine when I say that Slam Dunk is the greatest manga series I have ever experienced. In my heart, I feel like it's true, but it may come down to recency bias. I've read Berserk, Steel Ball Run, Fullmetal Alchemist, yet deep down, I feel like I prefer Slam Dunk the absolute most out of all of them. And sure, they're all different in their own right, but I got the slightest bit more of enjoyment out of Slam Dunk I never expected. It is amazing to me how something can be so basic as basketball, yet be so incredible. Slam Dunk is a series that is written by the renowned Takehiko Inoue, a mangaka who's made some of the highest rated manga of all time, with his other popular ones being Real and Vagabond. But right now, Slam Dunk is the only series I've read of his so far, and I absolutely love it, so much more than I could have hoped for. It brings out the most on what makes a great sports manga, or just manga in general. Slam Dunk has such a simple premise, yet runs with so much potential within it. I find the first chapter encapsulates the basis of the story exceptionally well. It starts with our delinquent teen, Hanamichi Sakuragi, who isn't exactly the popular type as he gets rejected by his 50th crush, which crushes his soul, and also giving him a bad taste for basketball, as many girls keep gushing over the basketball team. Then Sakuragi almost snaps when someone asked him if he liked basketball, but he then realized that it was a girl just his type. It was love at first sight for the 51st time. But this is where Hanamichi's relationship with basketball begins. With the rest of the volume, he starts to get into basketball to impress this Haruko girl, to maybe get a chance with her. He later joins the Shohoku basketball team to start his basketball journey. It is such a simple plot, yet it's executed beautifully. I'm amazed on how invested I was into this entire storyline, and Sakuragi is a part of that amusement. Sakuragi can have quite an aggressive attitude, going into violent outbursts over serious or petty reasons, which makes him seem like a total scumbag. Yet he also has a softer side, especially when it comes to Haruko, obviously. Though he does actually care about the deeper connections others have with basketball, as Sakuragi attempts to get better at basketball, since his skills aren't exactly satisfactory. Yet Hanamichi likes to boast that he's all that and a complete natural, the greatest genius phenom out there. All of these gives Hanamichi Sakuragi a ton of personality, having several flaws to give him growth as a character, but also being so entertaining by the way he acts. He may not be perfect, but that's what makes him lovable. Seeing how Hanamichi adapts to basketball is one of the most engrossing things I've ever experienced, since he kinda sucks starting out. He's good at jumping, but that doesn't work out when he smacks his head on the backboard attempting a slam dunk.
Oh shit.
Nevertheless, he has potential. Seeing him develop his skills is so absorbing, since it does it in such a realistic way. He starts out practically with no knowledge whatsoever, but going step by step of knowing how to become a decent player. He starts with the fundamentals of dribbling and passing, which almost made him quit from how boring and tedious it was, but he powers through, and he goes from learning how to do layups to understanding rebounds and boxing players out, then moving on to understand how to shoot from below the basket and further away, even some of the smaller stuff such as fake outs. A large portion of the manga is all about Sakuragi learning how to play and get better, slowly knowing what his strengths and weaknesses are toward the game. For me, I didn't know a whole lot of basketball to begin with, so it felt like I was learning with Sakuragi. Each time Sakuragi succeeds in something after making several mistakes is so satisfying, especially when it comes down to the basketball games themselves. But I'll get into that a little bit later, since I got to talk about the rest of the main starting lineup of Shohoku's team. Starting with the captain, Takanori Akagi, a third year who plays center with the greatest ambition and dream to one day get to the nationals and win a title, no matter how distant it may feel. So he does tend to push the team to their limits at times, which can annoy Sakuragi since all he wants to do are slam dunks and ignore the basics, but it's all to make a great captain. Akagi believes in his team to the fullest. Next is the second year point guard, Ryota Miyagi, who is one of the smaller players of the team, standing at 168 centimeters tall, which is 5'6", a very respectable height, since it's my height. Yet as he's a smaller player does not mean he's any less capable than the rest of the team. He's fast, great at faking out, and he's a good strategizer when it comes to passing to certain players at the start of an offense. He tends to think of himself as the greatest point guard in all of Kanagawa, yet becomes hot-headed when plays don't go his way. Then there's Hisashi Mitsui, a third year shooting guard who is incredible at shooting 3-pointers accurately and consistently, though his downside is not being able to maintain his stamina often, being completely exhausted nearing the end of a game, due to him being out of the game for almost 2 years without playing whatsoever, due to a troubling leg injury which pushed him away from the game, making him become jealous of the people who are luckier than him. But that doesn't mean he can't clutch up when needed and pull his weight in the most important of times. Lastly from the lineup is the small forward first year, Kaede Rukawa, who's Shohoku's ace. He's incredible at driving down the court, slam dunking, making all kinds of shots. He pretty much has it all, and he wants to become one of the best high school basketball players, so he constantly dominates as much as he can to prove he's worthy of the position. Yet as good of a player as he sounds, he tends to act selfishly on occasion by not making passes to his team, wanting to take all the glory for himself. He also underestimates some of the opposing players, which leads him to making mistakes by always thinking that no other opponent can beat him. But he can then overwork himself a little too hard and play beyond his limits without slowing down, making his stamina drain, unable to play throughout the entire game. He is that determined. Yet being Shohoku's ace, he's extremely popular around school, having an entire fan club dedicated to him. These are the players that embody Shohoku, each one having a vital role to work as a team to achieve victory. The bench warmers are also around to support the team the best they can, and Sakuragi's also there. As for power forward, he may struggle a lot at times, but he learns to adapt and get better with each game to maybe one day become a player good enough for his team to always depend on. Talking about the games as a whole, when you properly get into them, they're all so immersive, being so well thought out. Not a single game left me disappointed. Each one has something special about them to make them all stand out. It's unbelievable how often my mind was blown purely by a game of basketball. It takes its time to be as fleshed out as possible. I mean, the longest game lasted for about 6 whole volumes, and technically the shortest was only a chapter long. Nevertheless, even though 6 volumes sounds like a ton for a single basketball game, it never got uninteresting and kept getting better and better, constantly suppressing this tense atmosphere that keeps the games entertaining. There are so many iconic moments, especially with Hanamichi. Since he's the one with the least experience and talent, whenever he pulls off something insanely impressive, especially for only playing for a short time, is so fulfilling. You see him make dunks, successfully sink free throws, perform his layups, shooting shots from everything he's been learning. Even the simple stuff, as just him making passes, is rewarding enough. With each improvement Sakuragi makes, it shows how much progress he's made since starting out. Seeing the whole team work together effectively to ensure victory, overcoming the harsh challenges, makes me constantly root for them. It keeps you gripped for every single basketball game. Going up to the point where there are only the fewest seconds left in a round always gets my heart racing. I never felt underwhelmed with each game's conclusion. The basketball matches are definitely the highlight of Slam Dunk. There are the most prominent sections to look forward to, and what elevates them to a greater extent is Takehiko Inoue's masterful talent when it comes to art. Inoue goes all out with his illustrations in these moments. The panels are so detailed and expressive, adding an extra depth to the excitement. There were countless panels that gave me shivers down my spine from how much of a masterpiece they are to my eyes, especially with the 2-page spreads, having a singular panel across both pages. These blew my mind and took my breath away. These panels are some of the best manga drawings I've ever seen. A few of them are so iconic, being familiar to some who haven't even read the series. The art really helps create these heart-stopping, exhilarating parts unforgettable. I can't stress enough on how infatuated I was with this simple yet effective storyline. I only had a vague idea of the rules and details within basketball before getting into Slam Dunk, yet I was taken aback on how quickly I got interested into the sport. It hooks you in with its characters, with how they all develop, the matches and teams they go against. It all creates this solid finished story that never gets tiring. It started perfectly and ended perfectly. It's incredible to think on how much influence Slam Dunk brought to Japanese basketball. Slam Dunk is a big reason for making the popularity of basketball increase in Japan. Sure, there are other reasons basketball became popular, yet Slam Dunk is definitely one of those major reasons. There was even a time with the Tokyo 2020 Olympics in women's basketball, where it played the opening to the Slam Dunk anime in the background. It just shows the love and what Slam Dunk brought to the basketball scene. Mentioning the anime, as I've not seen a whole lot of it, just clips here and there, from what I looked at, it does not do the manga justice. Not saying it's bad, but it has aged a fair bit. It also abruptly ended, without many reasons as to why. Toward the end, it started going in its own direction, and not follow the manga. So there is a theory that the author Takehiko shut it down due to it not following his vision, but that could honestly be complete conjecture. It's quite the mystery on why the Slam Dunk anime was cancelled, but trust me, the manga is outstanding compared to the anime. That said, the first Slam Dunk movie is a masterpiece in its own right. It's what introduced me into the series. It's a movie you can watch without needing previous knowledge of the manga, and this movie struck something in me to decide to read the entire 31-volume manga series, and it's one of the greatest medias I've ever experienced. So I do thank the movie for introducing me into this glorious story. I won't say too much more about the movie, since I have gone a bit more into detail with it in my video about CGI, and I may plan to make a video discussing about it in the future, from how much Slam Dunk means to me as a whole. I find that the sports genre of anime and manga is something special. Though I've not seen a lot, I've only recently been watching Haikyuu, but the simplicity of telling a story about sports, yet being so entertaining with its execution. Slam Dunk completely excels at it, which in the end made it one of my favourite or even the best manga I have ever read. It really is amazing.